This is a really good question. So when I first started baking, I was using the old timing of catching your starter at peak. So where it's completely domed and hasn't yet fallen, or it's just starting to fall. Because that's what a lot of the recipes tell you to do, or the videos tell you to do. But over time and watching so many different mentors on here, I needed to change that up, because the method and the timing that I was following was like, get up in the morning, 8 o'clock, well, let's say, feed your starter, let it rise all day, make your dough, do your stretch and folds, and try and shape it and have it in the banneton for overnight. Try and have it rise overnight. And I was finding that was too long of bulk fermentation, leaving it on the counter overnight. It was overproofed every time. So the next morning, so then I started putting it in the fridge and letting it bulk ferment in the fridge. I didn't like that either. I didn't like the timing. So then one day I was just watching TikTok, and one of my ladies that I follow in sourdough TikTok, I think it's that sourdough company or something. She's called her a sourdough electric company or something like that. Anyways, I follow her, and she was saying, I'm going to use this anyways. She had fed her starter the night before. And the next day she looked at her starter and she's like, you know what? It's still got all the gluten strings. It's still active. Yes, it's fallen this much, but it looks still good. Smells good. I'm going to try it. She tried it and she got the perfect loaf, because she was able to, so she used it that morning, made her dough that morning, did her stretch and folds for an hour and a half or whatever it takes, and then let it bulk. And remember, as soon as you have all the ingredients in your dough, that's when the bulk fermentation starts. So even that hour and a half or whatever of your stretch and folds is still bulk fermenting. That's why it changes each time you do the stretch and fold or coil folds. And I only do one round of stretch and folds, and then I switch to coil folds, and I'm getting better crumb, nice and airy and melt in your mouth crumb. And I leave it cold, so it bulk ferments. So let's say, okay, I digress. So you feed your starter at night. It takes 5 to 6 hours for it to peak during the day, but I still use it the next morning. So that's your guideline when it takes to peak. And I've done it during the day, so I know how long it takes my starter to get to its peak. And it's about 5 to 6 hours in summer. It might be a little longer in the winter because it's cooler and more humid sometimes here in the Shuswap and Mazatlan for sure. So it takes a little longer. So your bulk fermentation, once you feed it at night, make your dough, do your stretch and folds, is taking me about 5 or 6 hours right now to get to the peak. And I know it's ready when it domes. The top is no longer sticky. It lets go of my fingers. It doesn't stick and leave any dough on my fingers. And there's bubbles all in the surface. Okay, so there's a dome, it bubbles, and it's no longer sticky. And it's been about 5 to 6 hours. If you pour it over and let it come out of the bowl and it doesn't stick to the bowl, and you've got all those gluten strings that you can see, that's usually a sign that it's perfectly fermented, bulk fermented. I shape it. I pre-shape it, right? Which you do the same way that you normally would shape your bread. And I leave it sit on the counter for 10 minutes covered. And then I reshape it and put it in the banneton. And then it goes covered into the fridge overnight. And I bake it the next morning. I do not bring it to room temperature. I bake it from cold after I preheat my Dutch oven for about 15 minutes. 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm thinking that, I only did it for about 10 to 15 minutes today. That wasn't enough. I need to do it preheated at least 15 to 20 minutes at 450 with lid on. And then I score my dough, put it in the Dutch oven, put a couple of pieces of ice in there for steam, cover it. In the oven it goes, covered for about 7 to 8 minutes. If the temperature is correct, when you open the lid, it shouldn't be gummy looking anymore if you want to rescore it to get a bigger ear, because the ear seems to be very popular. If it doesn't get an ear, so what? It's just as good. Now what you're looking for, okay, so, and then you take the lid off after 25 minutes, after you rescore it. So it goes in after the 7 to 8 minutes for another 18 to 19 minutes at 450 with lid on. When the timer goes off, you take the lid off, lower your temperature to 400 and put it in the oven again for another 20 minutes. And then take it out to cool for at least an hour before you slice into it. If you slice into it because you want warm bread, it's going to be a little gummy. Harder to slice, and it's going to be a little gummy, but it'll still taste delicious if you want warm bread. I mean, we all like it warm, but it still holds the heat. After an hour, it's still semi-warm. So it's still magical, guys. And what you're looking for on the outside of your bread is a nice crisp dough. The bottom, not too dark, but nice and crisp. And these little blisters that I showed you in my last video. Those little blisters tell you that your bread is perfect. It's perfectly bulk fermented. And it should have a beautiful, airy crumb in the middle when you slice into it. So let me know how this works for you. I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. Peace out, motherfuckers.